Imagine spending years cooped up in a relationship where your value is assessed on how much you satisfy a man who doesn't love you. A man who uses you like an object, insists that you obey him, and yet squanders his days seeking approval from others, shattering hearts and siring children he never cares for. This is not a healthy relationship. This is a cycle of cruelty and control masquerading as faith, where one is worshipped as a god and everyone else is supposed to bend their knee and accept whatever suffering is meted out to them. What do you do when you wake up from that nightmare at last and understand you spent your life bending, sacrificing, and concealing your true self, and then feeling guilty for merely existing? This is not the tale of just one lady with a painful history of manipulation and deceit. It's a hard mirror of a poisonous culture producing narcissistic men and ruining the lives of women. Stay with me, because we're about to unravel the truth behind this cruel dynamic, confront the damaging beliefs that keep it alive, and explore how real healing begins when you stop blaming yourself and start demanding the respect you deserve. There is an old adage I used to believe all the time when I was growing up. Perhaps you've heard it also. You have no idea what you don't know. It is basic, but it accurately describes something. It indicates there are things in life you may never even be aware exist, and since you don't know, you can't understand how much you're missing out on. It's this kind of ignorance bubble you don't even realize you're living in. Imagine living where it's the norm, expected actually, that all the women in this place have one husband. This is just the way things are. You see it daily. You're taught when you're young that this is how you live. This is the way you get to heaven. This is what will make you an immortal god or goddess in the next life, dwelling in your afterlife kingdom. It's where it's the fullness of the gospel, the life to live. But what if, in secret, that life isn't actually as it appears? What if it's something you don't even find out until later, seeing other lives lived? We have all had times when we didn't know we didn't know. For some of us, what we don't know is life or death for others. Take my case. I was raised. It was totally normal in my house to be spanked, even harder, by a parent for discipline. I thought that's how everyone's childhood was. I didn't know until adulthood, discussing with people my age, that this was not normal at all. Some children never were hit. Some parents had other means of teaching and guiding. That was a revelation. I didn't know there was another way. Once I finally realized what I didn't know, I wanted to learn all about parenting in another way, without the pain and fear that I experienced as a child. Because really, I wouldn't want my childhood on anyone. People will say, oh, a little discipline is okay, kids need it. But not me. What I experienced was difficult, and only when I became a grown-up, and then had a child of my own, did I realize, you don't have to do it that way. There's another way. And that's just the beginning. I recall one of the largest experiences in my life. It came after I had become a mother. At that moment, I swore an oath to myself. I will never touch my child. My child will be raised differently. They will live life the way I wish I had. A childhood free from fear, free from being afraid of their own parents. No more secrets, no more fear inside their head. I said to myself, wow, I get to end that miserable cycle. Because the truth is, when you're living in that world, you don't even know there's another. You don't know what you don't know. And I don't care for the excuse that parents just do the best they can. Because what if they could have known better? What if they could have learned differently? That epiphany, my aha moment, changed my life. It flipped everything around for me. It altered the way I perceived relationships, family, and even myself. It entirely rearranged the dynamics in my own family. That moment empowered me. I knew I didn't have to settle for the past anymore. I wouldn't perpetuate that hurt on my child. And in that moment, that old adage slapped me in the face once again. You don't know what you don't know. I'm sharing this because it connects to someone else's story. Christine Brown Woolley, now in her early 50s. She's at a similar turning point, but it's about something bigger. Hey friends, welcome back. Seeing Christine's experience for myself, I knew inside. Everything we were witnessing was not right. We watched it in front of our own eyes, yet for years, she wouldn't even admit it. She wouldn't admit what was happening. Why? Because she did not know what she didn't know. She had only ever lived within the polygamous world. That was her entire reality. She had no idea how warped her perception was, how men were considered better than women, how women were supposed to idolize their husbands regardless of what happened, how men could just do what they pleased, and women must just accept it. Women saw their husbands only every fourth day, and when they did, their entire life must center around that time, because that is the only time the husband notices them or the children. For years, Christine would say things like, "Our marriage isn't any different than a monogamous marriage," or "We have the same issues, just times 4. But I always thought, no, it's not the same. Most monogamous marriages don't have to contend with dad dividing his time among several families. That's just not what monogamy is." Now, Christine is sitting with Suki, opening up at last about what had happened. And for a lot of folks who bear the burden of their family's trauma, from childhood to adulthood, living the same painful patterns over and over, freeing themselves from that cycle can be shameful. They are thinking, how did I not notice this? How did I get trapped in it? How did I not know? But keep this in mind. You don't know what you don't know. For the first time, Christine confesses she is embarrassed. She is embarrassed that she lived in polygamy. And now she's willing to share her truth. Check it out. That's not fair. Picture this. You're keeping house all by yourself. The father of your children appears every fourth day. But wait, there's more. For the previous 3 days, he's been off doing God knows what, bouncing from woman to woman, treating himself like royalty. Then he comes into your house and expects you to drop everything, to become a servant to his every whim. That's not equality. That's not love or respect. That's control. A real partner wouldn't do what Cody did, sleeping with several women, having children he doesn't raise or even care about, viewing his kids as mere numbers, not as actual human beings, treating the women in his life like trophies, forcing them to compete for his interest. He doesn't care about the women. He doesn't care about the kids. He just wants to be worshipped. This year, he said it himself. He felt all-powerful because his children adored the ground he walked on. His wives did too. He was the god of that household, the most significant individual. And the insane thing is, he didn't have to do anything to change it because everyone was brainwashed to accept. Yes, Cody's a narcissist, but hear him out. The world they're born into makes men like him. Men learn from the moment they're born that they're superior to women. They're instructed that it's not up to them to love their wives more. No, it's up to their wives to love them more first. It's up to their wives to be nicer, quieter, better, to never give in to complaining or fussing. Mary, even today, utters phrases such as, "You can only control yourself," which is a truth. But it is not true that you need to change who you are just so he will love you more. When Mary does say you need to work on yourself, it always comes across as though she means change who you are so he'll love you more. And that's toxic. That's unhealthy. So when I hear her complain about how unfair it is, I think to myself, perhaps she's finally seeking help. Perhaps she's in therapy where she's learning about what a healthy relationship is. Perhaps she's in a new relationship, and she's going, how in the world did I remain in that for so long? Christine is embarrassed that she lived so, embarrassed that her entire life was about one man, pouring all her energy, her love, her all into him, morphing herself for him, curving over backwards for him at all times. When he was home, she treated him like royalty. Special food, special dishes, special attention, all for him. And you know what? McKelty mentioned when he spent time with his children, he'd sit down and watch a movie that he wanted. Then the kids would. If the kids wanted to spend time with him, they pretty much had to do what he wanted. She discusses how he adored these old films. Gladiator movies, those Roman-era historical dramas, and even wizard and dragon movies. Those were his thing. But the only way the children could relate to him was by watching the same movie, time and time again, simply because he wanted to watch it. He never expressed genuine interest in what they were interested in or concerned about. He didn't attend their activities or school events. For the boys, perhaps he might attend wrestling matches or try to get them involved in sports. But even that was lukewarm. He had so many children anyway. Because he never made the effort to really connect with them, the children learned from an early age that the best way to get close to their dad was to simply do what he wanted, to obey his commands, to please him. And the whole system around them, the cult, their beliefs, treated him like a god. He wasn't just their dad. He was the priesthood authority, and everything he said was treated as if it came directly from God. Imagine having a husband who is both your spouse and someone you're expected to worship. They consistently told they weren't like Warren Jeffs, the notorious cult leader, but truthfully, it was much akin to that. The only variation was they didn't have to dress in the prairie dresses or the extremely strict attire. The beliefs remained the same. The dictum was simple. Remain sweet. If he wished you to do something with him, you did it. If he wanted to impregnate you, you did not say no. When he appeared, it was on his terms. And you better not protest. So now, for her to express that she's embarrassed, that's genuine. That embarrassment is most likely connected with shame. But the thing is, you don't need to feel shame for what you didn't understand. And you absolutely shouldn't feel shame for the way someone else acted towards you. I prefer to put it this way. Rather than feeling ashamed, ask yourself, why was it acceptable for him to treat you in such a manner? Why did he abuse you? What justified it in his heart to hold a religion that would enable this to occur to a woman? Cody was raised in the LDS Church, which I am familiar with having similar fundamental beliefs to the organization he became a part of, but without the practice of polygamy. And because of that, he knew better. He knew you do not marry more than one woman. You do not do things to women like that. You do not shatter women's hearts just to bring someone else aboard. And you do not require your wives to bow down and acquiesce. I always think of it this way. If he knew polygamy was bad, because that is how he was taught, then he could have chosen not to do it. His parents converted as adults, but that is a whole other story. But Cody grew up knowing it was wrong. Most of his siblings who did not convert or were not raised this way renounced polygamy. They knew better. Cody chose to go down that route because he sought validation, to be worshipped, and to be able to sleep with as many women as he wished. If a man loved a woman, he would never belong to such a religion in which loving her hurts. It's only that cruel. I'm happy to notice these aha moments with Christine. I hope she realizes that it wasn't her fault that he acted this way with her. And I hope she doesn't go too far the other direction. You know what it's like. When you get out of something bad, sometimes you go all the way to the opposite side. Like, oh, my mom never allowed me to have sugary cereal, so now I'm just going to have candy every day. Or, I never had sweets when I was young, so now all I do is eat junk food. Like Rory from Gilmore Girls. I understand. I was like that too. So hopefully Christine doesn't overcorrect and become so independent that she won't let anyone in, her husband especially. But she does sound like she's figuring out how to balance that now. She's never had a real partner before this time. What a miserable way to live, reaching your 50s and thinking, I'm so ashamed. My entire life was centered around one man. I did all for him. I thought I was a woman of strength, yet I took on a husband who slept with other women. What was my problem? Fault the indoctrination, not yourself. You can only improve from here. Continue with therapy, Christine. It's obvious it's doing its job. So, are you surprised to hear this? Or not? Let me know below in the comments. Be sure to thumbs up this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and tap the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys!